So you excited?
I am very excited. Did you hear what's happening today?
I did, in fact.
At 3 o'clock, I'm getting ordained. I can't believe it. It's only been 8 years in the waiting.
8 years. Where did you start out?
I started in San Antonio for the first 2 years of postulancy, and then went to Mishawaka, Indiana for novitiate, and then was in Washington, D.C., studying at the Catholic Theological Union, and from D.C. went to Costa Rica, which was really great. Shared some time with you there, Father Paul. And then I worked in retreats while taking classes in Minnesota at St. Paul Seminary, and that was for 2 years. And now I just am presently in Terre Haute, Indiana, serving as a deacon there at St. Joe's University Parish, working campus ministry and sacramental help, and it's great.
That's good. But you had studied some theology prior to deciding to become a Franciscan and a priest. Where did you do that and why?
Well, I had a personal manifest destiny in that I had to move west toward the mountains growing up in the flatlands of Ohio. And I've always had a real love for the mountains, so I moved out to Washington State and lived pretty much a playboy lifestyle. I was going as a ski patrol in the winter, and as in the summer, I worked as a summer counselor for CYO summer camps. And theology was just a natural result of sort of a hollowness and an aching for something more. I kind of had my recipe for happiness, being the mountains and skiing and all this adrenaline, thrill-seeking fun, but there was part of me that was empty inside. And so I went to theology school at Seattle University, Jesuit School of Theology, and it was great. It just sort of opened up this longing and this yearning and this further hunger that I just couldn't get enough of. And so I did that for 4 years in the 90s, got a degree, and wasn't quite sure what I was going to do once I received my lay theology degree. So I applied it as a tour bus driver, working in the Northwest, and was very much in the trenches of ministry, helping people in many ways the best way I could. And my ministry became my work. A lot of people thought that, well, you get a theology degree, that means you have to work in the church. And actually, you can apply theology to so many different fields. And so I just made my work the new playground for theology, and brought a lot of my learnings from class right to the tour bus and tried to make a great experience for people on vacation. And it was a fun time.
What was your connection to the Franciscans?
I met the Franciscans in high school here in Ohio when I came to Carey, Ohio for a tech retreat, Teens Encounter Christ. And first met the Friars at a hoop nanny, where there was a friar named Father Terry Rasmussen jamming on the guitar and acting all crazy when I was a teenager, and really inspired and left an imprint on my memory. And I thought, one day I'm going to check out those Franciscans. And I waited until I was 34 years old to follow up on that checkup. And I'm glad I did. And so I reconnected after I was out in Washington with the Franciscans.
And when you decided to pursue a vocation to the priesthood, is there any particular reason why you chose the Friars over, say, diocesan life or other religious orders?
Well, I visited a lot of dioceses and religious communities. I visited with the Columbus Diocese of Ohio, the Toledo Diocese of Ohio, investigated the TORs, the Franciscans of the Eternal Word with Mother Angelica, the Capuchins, the Benedictines. And in all that visiting, some of the advice that was given to me was that one place would be like an old pair of shoes. And when you slip your feet into them, you're going to know right away you fit. And that's what happened. I knew right away in some of my visits this community wasn't me and it wasn't a good fit. But then I came to a retreat in Mesilla Park, New Mexico, I'm not particularly fond of the desert, which was insightful because I didn't like the climate at the time, and I wasn't taken by the landscape or anything like that, but the familial fraternity of the Friars was magnetic for me, and I knew right away that I'd found a home, and I couldn't deny it at that point. It felt so right. There was a lot of laughter, a lot of fun experience in that weekend, and after that weekend, I was really nervous because then I knew I had to act on it. Now that I found the place that's like home, now I had to follow through, and that was the big leap for me, and I was happy I made it, but it isn't always easy.
What do you look forward to most in terms of your ministry as a friar, priest?
Well, as a priest, I really look forward to the support of the fraternity because I'm living with other priests. And so when I get into those situations or I'm not quite sure what to do, you can always bring it back to your Franciscan family for support. The other part of priesthood is just the sacramental highs and lows that you're involved in people's lives at those crucial moments when they need a priest and want a priest to be there for a baptism or for a funeral or for those high points of receiving the sacraments for the first time, like First Communion, or be there for confirmation, and to be part of a bridge maker in reconciliation, and to be there at those key moments, and even the daily presence around the Eucharistic table. It's very meaningful to have that kind of involvement in people's lives when they're most open to really entering dialogue with the Franciscan, with the priest, and I just really look forward to that. It's an important part of the priesthood, the sacramental, and the other two key areas are the preaching side, the proclamation. I look forward to preaching. I'm a little nervous about that too because you have to be pretty creative to come up with a homily every day, and so I'm hoping to be inspired a lot in that part. But the preaching is the exciting part to proclaim the gospel and to live the gospel. And then lastly, just the shepherding side of priesthood, of looking out for the welfare of the people you have around you, just like a shepherd looks out for the flock of sheep. I want to be there in those important moments to teach and to look out and defend the welfare of the people around me. So,
is there anything that you think good advice would be for somebody who might be considering priesthood or considering a vocation with religious life?
I would just encourage you to be open to the areas that put a nervousness or a tickle in your belly that makes you think, ooh, that's really putting me in uncomfortable ground, because oftentimes that's the religious call, is pushing us in those growth-filled areas where we're not completely comfortable, but that nervousness can be a driving force. And that if you're open to that movement of the Spirit and that call, that's the excitement that comes from it. And my prayer just through the whole religious experience for these last 8 years has been, if it isn't for me, Lord, close the door in my face. I need it to be really obvious. And the door just keeps opening. And life gets richer and richer every year. And that's a wonderful affirmation that you're on the right path.
All right. God bless you, and good luck in your ministry.
Thank you so much, Father Paul.